Over in South Africa, BMW are finding life just as difficult when they're fighting it out against the might of Audi. Opel too back with a vengeance, and Toyota going well in a championship that's certainly proving to be as competitive as all the touring car championships worldwide. Behind the Audis, it was the Opels that were the car to watch. Undoubtedly, this is going to be a tremendous battle as we come up to the first of two races here. Terry Moss in number 8 there. We're looking at the back of that car as they get away at the start. And Audi's really fighting it out. And we're with Julian Bailey at the moment with a Toyota number 10. The ex-Grand Prix driver and British Championship competitor is said to be returning to England, and with a drive like this up there on the inside, nicking a place as he does so, up and past Van der Linde's BMW, it's easy to see why. Out front, the Audis in charge, however. Opel in third place. Craig Beard in number 4. We're looking at the back of that BMW at the moment. As battling there together as number 6 and 7, Duncan Voss and De Villiers, 2 Nissans, as we join Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra. The Vectra's still finding time to get more competitive as the season goes on. Development of a new car which turns in rather differently to the older Cavalier, proving to be something of a teaser here as he follows in third place the 2 leading Audis. But Briggs definitely the challenge here. Behind in 4th place Bailey, but no question about the domination of the Audis at the front of the field. Behind the BMWs, getting left behind there. Van der Linde able to do very little about it and struggling here to try and catch up with the Toyota. Meanwhile, Grant McCleary was setting about the BMWs with a vengeance and determined to move up. Pressuring very hard there on the tail of number 5. Dion Joubert having to give way. Out front, the Audi is still holding off Briggs Vectra. Getting perilously close there to the second, Aberdine's car, but not able to struggle by. Close battle at the head of the field. 4th place men some way behind, leaving a little to be desired when it comes to getting on the tail there, as the green BMW there being lapped by the leader. Moss going through, looking very comfortable indeed. The Audis have really been the revelation in the British Championship this year, and they're proving to be exactly the same in Australia, but it's great to see the Vectra right on the tail there, and Briggs determined to have a fair crack. Nico van Rensburg out of the event with the Toyota and his 6 laps completed. Not a happy man. With lots of pressure here. Cheryl Wilkin here in 45, applying it. And some of the private entries at the back of the field having some good scraps. But Craig Beard in number 4, 318i BMW, was finding himself being pressured all the time by the second of the Opels. All of a sudden, he'd lost a place. And up came McCleary to snatch 4th. From Beard's point of view, it was every way, which way but lose after this, as he dropped back down the field. Beard, in fact, lost the pace, lost the race, and fell back to 12th place by the time the checkered flag was to fall. Baird losing places and charging up behind him other cars, among them Henny Grunwald with his Audi. All eyes were on the Audi battle to see whether or not they were going to get caught. And McCleary managed to struggle up to 4th place in the second of the 2 Opel Vectras. But neither he nor his teammate could do anything about Moss in the lead and Aberdeen in 2nd place. And the Audi chassis showing how good it is under braking here, as Peter Southwood slides off in his efforts to stay in contention and in front of the leader as he was lapped. And in number 4, about to be overtaken by last year's worked Audi, Henny Grunwald through and past Baird, relegating him back to 12th place. And really not BMW's day at all. Things not going well for them. Baird under pressure constantly in a car that really wasn't going well at all. And struggling desperately now to hang on and save something from what had been a very miserable race for the BMW driver. As McCleary made more progress with the Vectra, just about to see off number 3 BMW there of Van der Linde, Craig Baird was under pressure from the Nissans. And these weren't the works cars either. Van der Linde, desperately trying to hold off the Opel, eventually had to give best. Once again, the Vectra proving how well it's being developed. Briggs, hanging on to his 3rd place, was losing ground now to the leading cars. But McCreary was up and past the BMW and setting off after his team leader. Van der Linde fought back, but was unable to displace the Vectra. Meanwhile, further back, Dion and Grunwald fell out over a piece of road. The result was a cloud of dust and a delay for both of them. Julian Bailey being forced here to give ground and just about to lose his hard-won 4th place, as McCleary set about him with a vengeance. Audi's 1st and 2nd, Vectra 3rd, and now it looked as if it was going to be Vectra 4th at any minute. In the Class B private owners battle, it was BMWs again in the thick of it, but the Toyotas proving also to be the cars to watch. Charles Wilkin there with a Toyota, putting up a tremendous fight. Meanwhile, Bailey was having to give ground. Eventually, in a heart-stopping moment at Hangar Bend, it was through and up to 4th place for McCleary. Baird was fighting hard. The spin that had delayed Heine Grunwald had now seen him come back and snatch the place away. So Opel's 3rd and 4th, Audi's 1st and 2nd, and no question about the fact that Audi now are dominating this race in the championship. Bailey in the competitive car, the Toyota certainly proving it had got the pace earlier on, probably suffered from a tyre problem in the latter stages. Certainly he fell back. But the Audis triumphant once again in South Africa and showing that they really are the car to beat now. Terry Moss comes up to take the checkered flag and take the first victory. Headlights ablaze, and 200 yards behind him, his teammate Aberdeen. Briggs 3rd, McCleary 4th, then Bailey with Latigan and Wilkin taking Class B 1st and 2nd. After the presentation, Terry Moss tells us how it's done.
Well, we did a lot of testing in the week with the wind blowing down the straight. So I ran a much stiffer setup for the car. If the wind had changed, I would have been in a spot of trouble. I think you saw the first few laps, I pulled a good gap. Towards the end, I wasn't going that fast. My tyres were off and I was battling, but it was calculated. And if Chris was closer to me, I'm sure he could have put more pressure on. But I think I pulled too much of a gap in the earlier laps.
Round 4 of the championship. And the Feet Care Super Touring cars retired, ready for the fray once more. Sean Van der Linde with the 318 BMW. We're looking at the back of that car now at the start. And Van der Linde there being pushed very hard as we go aboard Duncan Voss's Nissan Sentra number 6. this further back down this very competitive field that strings itself out, and once again it's Audi's in charge. On the grass and off it again, almost throwing it all away there and allowing Briggs to get right with him. But Briggs able to stay with them, but not able to get past them. The front-wheel drive Vectra not quite able to handle the way that the four-wheel drive cars, the Audis, get their power down. BMW hanging on to fourth place there. Julian Bailey with a Toyota, desperate to make some ground and desperate to try and improve on his position. Once again, the sequential gearbox there, which we see in the British Championship. It means that you can't select a gear just when you want it, as Heine Grunwald here in number 12 is having a tough time of it and being pressured very hard. Up front, the Audi brigade, but this time in the opposite order. Aberdeen, the man who's doing the leading, holding off Terry Moss, while Duncan Voss's Nissan was leading the Japanese challenge. A close battle between the two Audis. And behind the Vectra, still staying on the pace and in touch with them. But the BMW in fourth, about to find himself with a bucket load of trouble. Mike Briggs here, under braking, could close the gap just a little, but this mistake here saw his chance to slip up into second place. Now the big question was, could the Opels come back again? Left alone and in the lead, number 9, Aberdeen had got it all to do. Fifth place now for the luckless Moss, who'd got some work to do, as the big surprise was Heine Grunwald with last year's car up in and among the top 6. So Aberdeen in the lead, proving that he could stay ahead of Briggs, providing he didn't make a mistake. Julian Bailey not having too happy a time of it, losing some ground and losing a place. Class B brigade was also proving to be a fine battle too. 22, Heinrich Lattigan's BMW really pressuring Charlie Vulcan hard. Briggs in second place with a Vectra. But up now to fourth, Moss, a man on a mission. Sean van der Linde's BMW number 3 sees the Audi close in and find a way by. The inside line, and it's Audi's first and third, with a Vectra the meat in the sandwich. Meanwhile, van der Linde finds himself under more pressure and goes off into the grass. The private battle, Vilkin there, holding off still, the BMW behind. While the luckless van der Linde's trying to work out how he can get out of there. Joubert's BMW and de Villiers' Nissan fell out over the same piece of road. Neither of them came off well. If anything, the BMW driver sustaining some damage there, which will see his departure from the race. And Joubert not pleased by that one. While Julian Bailey was another man who was going backwards this time in a field in which he'd been competitive in the first race. De Villiers out too, and efforts being made to move the car to a safer place. And this was the damage to the front of number 11, Anthony Taylor's Toyota. Meanwhile, Charles Wilkin was going well and holding 7th place overall. The Class B leader showing the way home to a lot of quicker cars. We had a chance to talk to Taylor about how this accident occurred.
Dion Joubert and Geniel de Villiers were dicing, and Geniel tried to get past Dion on the inside for the hairpin. And they touched, and then They touched and then they sort of, Dion went off and Geniel spun in the middle of the road. Then I was going to go past on the inside of Geniel, but then he started rolling forwards again and it was just too late. I had nowhere to go and I bumped him.
Duncan Vos leading the Nissan Challenge, finding himself with traffic up ahead, getting past the Group B leader there, but losing a bit of ground as a result of it. Meanwhile, McCleary making some ground and certainly proving that once again the Vectra was on the pace. Heine Grunwald in last year's Audi pressuring Bailey. And Bailey not getting it right. Suffering from a gearbox problem, he missed one here and lost his place. Grunwald came through, leaving Bailey to wonder about what he could do to sort it out. But before he could think too much, another gearbox problem, which we see here on the onboard, sees him get very, very sideways, and all of a sudden it's a collision. And Vos's Nissan comes into contact with him in the middle of it all. Vos, in spite of the damage, is back onto the track, the quicker of the two. So Vos now worrying at the Toyota. We see exactly what happened, in fact, from his car, as he went actually for a gap that wasn't there, whether Julian had a gearbox problem or not. Goes back through the box, and Vos, in spite of the damage to the front wing, continues to make some progress and gets up as high as 6th place. Meanwhile, at the front, it was Chris Aberdeen this time taking victory. Moss had struggled back up to 2nd place after that moment and that spin and got himself ahead of Briggs in a safe 3rd, with McCleary up to 4th. Audis, once again, the pace of the field, while Julian Bailey, feeling rather bitter and twisted, returned to the pits. The leader slowed a little to allow the two cars to close up. And headlights ablaze, the flag came out for another Audi victory. So once again, BMW finding themselves in a catch-up situation behind the Audi domination and the increasingly competitive Opels of Briggs and McCleary. Grunwald a fine 5th, with Wilkin heading Latigan in Class B. And once again, a chance to talk to the winning driver.
Yeah, fantastic. We were half expecting rain, but got a great start. Terry alongside, and I thought we were going to get a 1-2 right from the beginning, and then I think Terry went off, but it was fantastic. I enjoyed every minute.
Presentation for Wilkin, winner of the Class B category, and 6 points ahead with 30 points at the top of the tree as Moss from Aberdeen, with Briggs on 14, McCreary on 13, and Joubert and Van der Linde. That's the top 6. While this is going to look good in Audi's boardroom next year.